Chewy's parents are immigrants to the city of Chicago. You have two sons who are parents who are immigrants. This is a great city. And so in particular, the African American community, there are particular issues. Not only do they have passion love for their kids, and they also have a passion love for a city that they do not feel has totally represented them and be part of their lives.
We're just talking, you know. But so why do you think that the city? Why do you think the city is so segregated? Well, because if white folks and black folks and Latino folks all love the city, why do we not love each other?
Well, that is, I don't buy that we don't love each other. And I don't buy that.
Can't live together.
I also don't buy that, Charles. Let me say this. We are not going to be the city where we need to be and want to be for our kids if we don't find what's our commonality. We can have differences without being difficult with each other. I don't accept that. And I would say to you, as an elected official and as a leader in the media, you and I collectively have a responsibility to allow our differences never to become a point where we become difficult with each other. And the history, as you said, of segregation, that goes way back. That goes way back, and what we do will determine whether we build the bonds of commonality or we allow our differences to become more exasperated than they actually are. And my responsibility as mayor, as a leader and elected official, is to help people find that common ground together so we can work together and build a city that everybody feels they have a chance in. If you don't feel this city, and here's the way I would explain it. You said we're having a conversation.
Yeah, we are, but you're doing all the talking.
Okay? You're doing all the asking. And I'm answering it, and none of these answers. Let me say this. If Chicago's issue of separation on races, you want me to get that down to 60 seconds?
Well,
that's a long
here's
answer.
the problem.
Okay.
I got these people that would, I went philosophical.
I'll be real quick. Okay. I believe if a child in Woodlawn or Englewood or Pullman or Auburn, Gresham or Chatham looks at this city coming out of their school, coming out of their place of worship, let's say they look downtown and they see this energy and this power, and they think that energy, that power, that optimism, that strength that's represented in the city skyline does not encompass them, we're not going to be the city we can be. If they think that that skyline and all that energy, that power, that embodies and could be part of their future, then we're going to be the city we can be, because we can't have anybody feel that that's a separate city. Okay?
Thank you. I want to talk to you, Professor Beverly. Professor Beverly, you started us off the last time. I want you to start us off this time. Professor Beverly, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I just heard your last statement about kids in those communities, and yet I'm struck by the closing of 50 public schools.
Yes!
So upon reflection, and I'm assuming this isn't a decision that you entered into sort of quickly and then put it behind you, and I'm going to assume that you've reflected on this since that decision was made. Would you have done anything differently in closing those schools and impacting the communities that those schools are in?
Professor Beverly, when I became mayor 4 years ago, we were underinvesting in the city of Chicago's education for our children across the waterfront. Half our kids had a half day of kindergarten. Our kids had the shortest school day and the shortest school year in America. That's an underinvestment. Over 130 buildings, were more than 50% under-enrolled, underperforming, and under-resourced. We also had 4 out of 10 kids dropping out from high school. In 4 years, we're now at 70% graduation rate because of the hard work of our principals and teachers and parents and our students. In 2 years' time, we're going to be at 82%. One of the leaders in the country of any major urban system. In the schools that you talked about, as part of that underinvestment, we have invested $1.3 billion in 400 schools physical upgrade, including the receiving schools. The receiving schools now have air conditioning. They have labs, science labs. They have new physical upgrade HVAC systems. All the kids have iPads, and every child walks on a safe passage route to schools. And according to the University of Chicago, 93% of them now are going to a better performing academic school than they were before. And across the waterfront, I have taken on the challenges of making sure we invest in our kids' future and education, because kids start dropping out of college in 3rd grade, which is why we have not only full-day kindergarten for all our children. Next year we're going to universal pre-K for all 4-year-olds from families in need. And with a rising graduation rate, the next thing we're doing is, if you get a B average, we'll be the first city in America where community college will be free. And of those schools, 12 of them are already on their way to being repurposed in some way. Libby in Maplewood is now a pre-K center. We brought President Kent Clinton there to see, with a parent-teacher conference, with a center, parent-teacher early childhood center. Lafayette is the permanent home now to the Chicago Fine Arts High School, which didn't exist before, and 10 others are being repurposed to integrate it academically, or rather economically, into the community. But I didn't just walk into one challenge, walked into a series of challenges, from financial, capital, to educationally. Our kids and our schools were underinvested in.
If there was an elected school board then, you don't think an elected school board would have made that kind of decision? Is that a contention of yours?
Different
I know, but I'm following up. I get a chance to do that in this format.
Not with my back's fine here.
Well, but you can't turn to me, man. We're talking to people here.
Charles. Okay.
But the question...
Lighten up. It's like 8 o'clock at night.
But I mean...
I hear you.
All right, here's the deal. Lighten up. It was a joke, Charles. It may not have been a good joke, but it was a joke. Here's the deal. The way I see it. I know this. 87% of the kids in the city of Chicago are from poverty or below. 87%. You want to talk about income disparity in life? If you were trying to bridge economic disparity, would you ever have designed the shortest school day and the shortest school year in America?
That doesn't answer the question.
Nobody came to the city of Chicago to study the Chicago example to take back to their city. We now have a full school day and a full school year that equals the full potential of every child in the city of Chicago. And I don't think, I'm going to finish the right to your answer, and I don't think an elected school board would have ended a 20-year dispute and debate about a full school day. It took leadership and courage to say that every kid counts in the city of Chicago. Every child.
Answer the question.
And I don't think we also had 12,000 of 30,000 kids had a half day of kindergarten. Who do you think the 12,000 kids were there with a half day of kindergarten, whose parents had to run home, run out of work, get on a train, pick up a kid, get them to another type of service, and then get back to work on time? The early childhood and half day kindergarten was not working for our children, and it wasn't working for mom very well either. And that's what we did to our families across the city of Chicago. By conscious design. And we ended that.
Yeah, Mary, I'm really not cutting you off. It's just that I want to get to a lot of questions.
I got a lot to say.
You do. I want to go to Mr. Mosby for our next question. He's on our panel here. I'm sorry, we didn't do the... Wendell Mosby is the chairperson of Young and Powerful Political Action Committee. The Young and Powerful Political Action Committee. Yes.
Yes, the same committee that raised $300,000 for President Obama. So, my question there, notwithstanding the school closings, is there, if you look back and say, well, if I'm re-elected, is there a policy that you, from your office, that has unintended consequences that has impacted the families, black families, that you would say, you know what? For example, I know that you did with the CHA, being able to let people who had criminal backgrounds be able to move back in, a small number of that. But is there any other policies that you said that had unintended consequences that you would implement re-elected?
You did start this example, and let me give you the second. There's 3. Okay? When you say unintended, we started a pilot that had never existed. Biggest issue for ex-offenders, housing. So we started a program to figure out using housing and CHA how to have ex-offenders come back in because they're looking for shelter in their apartment so they're not homeless. Second, we're the only city that did this, working with Springfield. I led the effort, we changed it, the number of people we worked on here. Our youth, if they got caught, had to expunge their record, had to hire a lawyer to get their record cleared for the rest of their lives. It stopped them from student aid and college assistance that would have affected them coming here. I changed it in Springfield, where a child now, if you commit a nonviolent misdemeanor or below, your record is automatically expunged. 16,000 kids are affected that way. And it affects them the rest of their lives. Third, the public transportation CTA, the largest ex-offender program in America in a public transportation system. And if you want an ex-offender not to be a repeat offender, you got to start with a job. And I just give you 3 examples, and I will tell you what I'm most proud about, and there's a number of people in this room we worked through from both the religious community and elected officials. We went from 400 kids a year, and it could have been 5, but in that hundreds, who got their record cleaned, to 16,000 kids a year who will have their record at no effort expunged so they can get a college loan, they can get a career, they can be on with the rest of their lives. 16,000 a year now have a clean record and a brighter future than the door being shut at them. Just that change alone. That's it. And I also believe, I really do believe this, we're in a place of higher learning. I'll be quick, Charles. I can see out the front of my eye.
Well, thank you.
I got that hand waving right there on the periphery of my eye. We're going to be the first city that goes from the kindergarten to 12th grade model to a pre-K to college model. You earn a B average in Chicago Public Schools, community college will from now on be free. Free, first city in America. And I know it's a good idea because President Obama tried to copy it. It's a real good idea.
Mayor, I'm going to cut in here because I want to get to just some of the stuff that they're saying about you in this campaign. Mayor 1%, the downtown mayor, the guy who doesn't care about the neighborhoods. Come on now, I'm just trying to get him to respond to this stuff that we hear in the campaign. And how do you rebut that? Why are you not? I mean, you are a millionaire. You made a lot of money in a very short period of time. I mean, you go to exotic vacations. I mean, people in Chicago want to go to the Dells. You go to Chile. You go, okay. No, listen to me, man. I mean, people think you're some kind of disconnected billionaire mayor who only cares about hedge fund guys. Tell people that you're not. I'm serious.
First of all, listen to this. I make no guys I provide for my family. And as you just said when you introduced me, my parents, when they raised us, took us on trips. I think it's a great education that my kids went not only to the Far East, not only to Latin America, they've also been to Kenya, Uganda, Zambia, because I want them to see the world. And that's part of an education. And I will never make bones about being the father I want to be for my children. It's the most important job I have. And I know that you guys make fun of me, and you guys, wait a second, Charles, this is the answer part. You always make a big deal where I take my kids. I will never let my kids play second fiddle to my job. They're my children and I'm their father. Now I'm going to answer your question. I get the answer. Let me say this.
But do you worry about the outcomes?
About my children? No, I worry about their future. So let me say this. The city of Chicago is raising the minimum wage by 40%. Springfield didn't do it. Washington, D.C. didn't do it. Chicago's doing it. Now that, I don't know of anybody in the best off financial position who works at a minimum wage.